Hello everybody and welcome back to Surge to Hit. I know we've been on a bit of a hiatus for the past 2.5 months, but rest assured we will start with a steady stream of content going this day forward. But the topic of today's video is another unit breakdown of one of our brand new mercenaries coming into the game. As you can see on screen, the new mercenary is the Mandalorian himself, Djarin. I'm super excited to get this miniature, to get this model, to get him on the table and into a few different armies that I've come up with. Just like looking at his card, his abilities, his upgrades, he's an amazing character, and I feel like he's going to be able to fit a lot of different roles depending on the army you want. So let's get straight into it. So obviously the name of this character is Djarin with the subtext, the Mandalorian. He's going to be an operative unit, and he's going to be a mercenary unit that can go into the Empire or the Rebellion. And there is a difference between the two, and I will get to that later. Moving down on his price, he is 105 points. Not bad, on par with Cad Bane and Bosk for their price. So I would say, yeah, pretty good price for what you get. He has 2 training slots, 1 comms slot, 2 gear slots, an armament slot, and then he also has the ability to get a counterpart in a certain scenario. Keywords, he has Arsenal 2, so while attacking, each mini in this unit can use up to 2 of its weapons. Just a nice ability to have, especially with the weapons he already has built in, and I'll explain about those later. He has bounties, so he can mark a target for destruction, and if he's able to get the final kill on that bounty, you get a victory point. Pretty good. Impervious, kind of the staple on all Mandalorians is the keyword impervious. So while defending, if the attack pool has pierce, roll whatever additional defense dice up to that pierce. So if it's a pierce 3 attack, you roll 3 more dice. It comes in good pretty often, actually, especially with Mandalorian saves. He also has the new-ish keyword we've been seeing, and that's independent. However, I would say he is a very strong independent, unlike some other characters, i.e. like Bosk. His independent is aim 1 and dodge 1. So at the start of the activation phase, if he doesn't have an order token, he gains an aim and a dodge. So you get the best of both worlds. You get your dodge, you get your aim, and as you'll see, Djarin is aim hungry. His next keyword is Tactical 1. So when he performs a standard move, he gains 1 aim token, which is good. So that means potentially you could get 2 aims off the bat by independent aim and then moving to get an aim, and then that gives you 2 aims. Next, we're going to go over to the right side. He is, of course, a trooper unit, and then he's going to have 5 health and 3 courage, similar to Boba Fett's health and courage. He's also going to sport a red defense die, which gives him a 3 out of 6 chance of saving, but since he has surge to defense, he has a 4 out of 6 chance of saving. Pretty good, especially with impervious. It's going to be hard to pierce through his armor. He also has surge to crit on offense, which is just all in all pretty handy, being able to surge to crit. So if you need to get that last damage through, you can. And it's important to note, he doesn't have sharpshooter, so surging to crit does help you get through heavy cover a lot better. His movement is speed 2, which is interesting because most Mandalorians move speed 3, but that speed 2 can be modified in a different way, with one of his unique gear upgrades that we will see later. His weapons that come built in onto his card are the Vibro Knife, which is a melee 2 black lethal 1. Pretty good melee. 2 blacks, similar to, I think, combat expertise, but the lethal 1 does let you potentially get that guaranteed damage off. He also has Din's modified IB-94 pistol, which is range 1 to 2, 2 red dice, 1 black dice, and it also has lethal 1, and it has long shot 1. So what lethal 1 does is it lets you spend an aim, and you gain pierce 1. What long shot lets you do is if you spend a different aim token, you can increase the weapon's maximum range by 1, So instead of being 1 to 2, it's 1 to 3. And the pistol also has versatile, which means when Din is in melee, he can Vibro Knife one unit and then shoot a different unit outside of melee. So if he was in melee with a group of, let's say, B1 battle droids, he can stab the B1s and then he can shoot another unit of B1s that are not currently in melee with him or melee with another unit. It really helps spread the damage out. It makes it so that, oh, I'm tying down Din so he can't shoot my bounty target, and he's like, ha, psych, boom, shoots him anyways. Very, very powerful. And like I said, with looking at the overall unit card, I would say he's pretty good, just stock standard. I would say the only thing he's really missing are a few different keywords, but he can gain those keywords later on through various command cards or even upgrade cards. I would like to point out that when you're building Din, you're going to want to make sure you have some way to get additional aim tokens, because if you look at him now, independent, aim 1, tactical 1, or the aim action. At most, you're only going to get 2 aims on him before you can have that last action be an attack where you'd use those aims. And if you use both the Vibro Knife and Din's pistol, you need 3 aims to get the full effect of each of them, which is quite a bit. Or if you're not in melee, the 2 aims will be good enough because you can use his modified pistol, long shot, lethal, there you go. Problem solved. But overall, Din Djarin is definitely a fantastic addition into the game. And now let's get into the upgrade cards he has access to, and we'll see whether they are good, bad, or situational. Okay, so the first set of upgrades that we're going to be looking at come from the training slot. He has access to 2 different training upgrades, but this is going to be a highly competitive spot because, to be honest, there are some upgrades that just outshine the rest. So let's get right into it. Duck and Cover, I would say this is going to be an overall bad upgrade because he doesn't have anything that lets him gain additional support from having suppression like Danger Sense or Low Profile. So adding more suppression that he doesn't need to get is kind of overall kind of bad. Next we have Endurance. Endurance, I would say, is also going to be bad because he has Courage 3, which means it's going to take 6 suppression before he panics. He's fine. He doesn't need to get rid of Endurance fast, unlike a character like General Grievous, who only has 2 Courage, who if he gets 2 suppression tokens of a suppressive gun, he's kind of like, he's kind of like messed up from it. So I would say Endurance overall is kind of bad for the general build you're going to want with Din. Next is Hunter. Hunter is extremely good because he gets another aim when he attacks a wounded a unit with a wound token on it, a trooper unit specifically. So he can get that 3 aims that he needs to get the full effect of his kit, which is super valuable. Next, into the fray. He gains surge tokens. He already surges to defense and on offense. It's useless. Don't use it. Offensive push. I would say it's good. I mean, it will be a one-time use because Din doesn't have access to any command cards that give him a recover for your cover actions, so you're going to use it once probably, and then unless you have another unit in the game that plays a command card that lets Din recover, then I would say it's only going to be a one-time use, but it will let you get that guaranteed 3 aims to get a massive attack potential. So I would say overall it's good, not the best out of the good category, but if you're hurting for points and you really need to get that bid, maybe offensive push over Hunter to save you an extra 2 points, potentially. I would still say Hunter's the better of the 2, but they're both still really good. Next is Overwatch. Overwatch is interesting because it gives you Sentinel, which makes your standby range 1 to 3. Naturally, Din doesn't have any ability to shoot at range 3 unless he already has a aim token to get long shot on his pistol. So can he use it? Yes. Should he use it? Most of the time, no. I would say Overwatch is most of the time not going to be a good pick for you because it is just such a competitive slot for the training. Overwatch will just get outshined by the rest. Next, we have Projector. Din doesn't have access to Guardians, so Protector is automatically bad. Next is Seize the Initiative, which is before the independent keyword came out. On a bounty hunter, Seize the Initiative was a staple. You wanted this badly. But now, I would say honestly it's not that good because you lose access on your aim and your free dodge. So you're losing kind of almost like more than you're gaining, I guess. But I would say Seize the Initiative is overall going to be bad because just once again, it's such a competitive slot and there's a lot of good upgrades for it. Next is Situational Awareness. You get a free dodge at the beginning of every turn. That's pretty good. I would say Situational Awareness is good. Next is Tenacity. While looking at Din, there's only 2 black dice melee. Doesn't look like a lot. But he has other upgrades that let him get enhancements to his melee, making Tenacity actually kind of worth it. So I would say Tenacity is definitely good. And the final training upgrade, Up Close and Personal. This is a good upgrade, I would say. Just due to the fact that you could potentially get another dodge, and comboed with Situational Awareness, every turn you can get a dodge from independent, you could take the dodge action, and then you could shoot someone at range 2 and get a third dodge and have 3 dodges and just say like, oh, 3 crits? Huh, no more. And it's just a strategy that you can use and you can implement. So I'd say Up Close and Personal is overall pretty good on Din. Next, we're going to get into the comms upgrade. First off, we have Comms Jammer. I would say Din Djarin usually wants to be up close, in your face, kind of a close range brawler. So Comms Jammer can be very good actually to prevent people around him from getting orders because he's not going to get an order usually. So that means no one else around him. If he can't get one, no one else can. That's kind of the mentality you would have with it. Next is Comms Relay. I would say Comms Relay is actually good because if you have another unit working with Mando that maybe benefits more from his orders on his command cards, then do it. Pass the order along to someone else. That's great. And then you still get the 1 order from his command cards, but you also gain Din's free aim and dodge. So Comms Relay can potentially be good in the right hands, in the right moments, I should say. Next is Emergency Transponder. It's a one and done card. You can either remove a suppression, gain an aim, or gain a dodge. Very good with Din because he isn't gonna get orders anyways, so you get access to another free token. Who doesn't like that? Next is Hacked Comms Unit. I would say this is bad just because you don't want orders on him usually. So denying yourself free tokens, I mean, why would you do that? Next is HQ Uplink. Once again, Din doesn't have access to any free recover abilities, so it's a one and done order, and he doesn't really want to receive orders anyways. So HQ Uplink is kind of bad. And next and finally is Long Range Comlink. He gives himself orders. He doesn't need to get infinite range orders from anyone else. So I would say this one is also bad. So this is where it gets interesting in the gear slot for Din. See, he has 2 open slots, but he also has 2 unique upgrades for this slot. First, we're going to go over the generics, then we're going to get into the uniques, and we'll go over how those look. So to begin with, we have Ascension Cables. Ascension Cables is the poor man's jetpack. So if you can't afford getting Mando's jetpack, which we will get into later, then I would say Ascension Cables is good. Next is Electro Binoculars. Bad. You don't want to give other people your actions. Emergency Stims. Potentially good at adding to his longevity and overall to the battlefield. It's as good as it always has been. Environmental gear and grappling hooks kind of fall into the same category where they're just not really good to what you're trying to do. So I would say overall, those both are bad because Ascension Cables is just better than both of them. Next up we have portable scanner, and it falls into the same thing as electro binoculars. You don't want to give away your actions. Alright, next we have prepared supplies. It's good, especially if you combo with situational awareness. It's just another free crit, anti-crit. So prepared supplies is pretty good. Recon intel, I would say, is, I mean, it's good if you can't get one of the unique upgrades. Recon intel is always something you could choose if you're lacking in points. So I'd say it's good. Next is targeting scopes. I would say targeting scopes is bad, just because he has a good quality dice in his attack pool, and they all surge, especially on his ranged pistol. 2 red and a black. Yeah, you're not gonna need to reroll all 3, and if you do, something went horribly wrong with your dice, and I would get those things checked out because they might all be incorrectly weighted, so that they always turn up blanks. Okay, next we're going to kind of wrap the gear and armament into one little section because it's all unique to Din's character profile. First, we have Din's flame projector, and this is one of his 2 gear upgrades. This is a very good weapon. It's 1 red die, spray, blast, suppressive, but it's a one-time use. But it's a really good one-time use because you could potentially, like, partnered up with his pistol, for example, you could shoot, let's say, into a unit of rebels. They have heavy cover. You don't have sharpshooter. Oh no. Oh, you flamethrower them. Okay, now they have no cover, and now you get 6 red. Let's say it's a full unit. You get 6 red against them. Now, cool. You add another 2 red and a black, and let's say you have an aim. Give them lethal. Pierce 1. Statistically, you'll miss, like, 1 red die will miss, and the black die is kind of almost a little bit less than a 50-50. So you'll probably hit most of them, and since they're rebels, they might as well have tissue paper for their armor defense. So his flame projector is overall pretty good for just quickly getting rid of a unit off the field. The next unique gear upgrade slot, and well, the last one, is the Mando's jetpack. This is very expensive, coming in at 15 points, making Mando's total cost going to be 120 if you just have the jetpack on. But what it lets him do is increase his maximum movement speed by 1. So now he can move speed 3, and he also gains jump 2. So he can perform a move ignoring terrain, height 2 or lower. And then this is just treated as a normal move, so you get that aim from Tactical 1. The Mando's jetpack is really, really good, but it's also super expensive. 15 points is a very heavy tax just to make Mando on par with the other Mandalorians. Is it good? Yes, absolutely. But expensive. Also, yes, absolutely. I would say only really include it if you know you want Mando to be that up close and personal brawler, and you need him to rush in there as soon as he can. So his jetpack is overall pretty good. The next 2 unique upgrades, I should say, are both going to be in the single armament slot, so you have to pick between one or the other. And they both let Din perform very different roles in your army. So the first one is the Beskar Spear. It is a melee weapon. It's 2 red, 1 black. And what this does is that Din now gains Duelist. So while performing a melee attack, if you spend an aim token, gain Pierce 1. While defending against a melee attack, if you spend a dodge token, gain Immune Pierce. So the way Duelist works is that if you just spend an aim at any point doing anything, you get Pierce 1. So you could, in theory, if you just have a bunch of aims and you are in melee with someone with your knife and your spear, if you spend enough aims, you get Pierce 2 in the melee at 2 red, 3 black, or if you have Tenacity 3 red, 3 black, 1 red from Tenacity, 2 red and a black from the spear, and 2 black from the Vibro Knife, you have an insane melee. And it's nothing to scoff. 3 red, 3 black, surge to crit with however many aims you have with Din, and also Pierce 2 is basically a lightsaber strike. It's very powerful, very, very deadly. And then moving on to the next one, we have Din's Ambient Rifle. Now, it's unique in the way that it has two different kind of profiles. It has a melee, 3 black, immobilize 2, and suppressive in melee. Pretty good, actually. It ends up making your melee a 5 black, surge crit, immobilize 2, suppressive, lethal 1 melee, with potential of a red die from tenacity. But it also has a secondary ability, and it goes like this. If you spend 2 of your 2 actions, so Din does nothing this turn except for this, if you are not engaged, perform a speed 1 move, then choose an enemy unit in line of sight, roll 1 red attack die. If the result is a hit or a crit, the chosen unit suffers 1 wound and gains 1 suppression token. This is a 75% chance to do an auto wound to any unit you want. You just gotta see him. Doesn't care about cover, doesn't care about how good their defensive dice are, or if they're immune pierce. They just take a wound. I would say this rifle's really good against force users, unless they have like tenacity. You don't want to activate tenacity. You shoot a force user and it's like, all right, boom, take a wound. Like, I'm trying to think of a force user that doesn't necessarily have tenacity. Yoda, this is great on. Palpatine, this is amazing on because you weaken his 1 pip. I would say Vader, Commander Vader, this is good on. You need an operative Vader, giving him the extra red die. He has 5 red, pierce 3. Not what you can do against it, but you shoot Vader, you get another wound on him, so he has 1 less wound. Or Count Dooku, or just anyone that takes a wound and doesn't gain anything from it. Din's Ambient Rifle is great against. I would say this is a good weapon, but it comes at the cost of making Din out of the fight for most of the game. And with only a 75% chance of doing that wound, I don't know how worth it is. However, I do see it being a viable thing to use in Din's arsenal, as that maybe 1 or 2 times a game maximum use weapon to just do that damage onto someone that really needs to take some damage. Finally, we have the final slot for Din Djarin, which isn't listed on the card, but it's a counterpart he gets, and this is the Child, also known as Grogu. Grogu serves as a trooper unit. He is 1 mini. He is only available to Din if he's in the Rebels. So if Din's in the Empire, you're not getting Grogu. It also has 1 health, so that means Din technically has 1 extra health he can pawn off to Grogu at any point. Counterpart Din Djarin. This means he can only be equipped to Din Djarin, but he can also be equipped to IG-11 given certain circumstances. This is a 17-point unit, and it has the potential to help your game quite a lot, but also hurt it just as much, if not worse. So let's go over the good first. So latent power. At the end of your activation, you may gain 1 suppression token to roll 1 red defense die. On a surge result, choose an enemy unit at range 1 of this mini. The chosen unit gains 2 suppression and 2 immobilized tokens. On a blank result, remove a wound or poison token from a friendly non-droid trooper unit at range 1 of this mini. And he's also small, so he can't be directly targeted for any attacks. But he also can't be used to heavy cover block for Din. Latent power is extremely good, but potentially shoddy ability. You have a 2 in 6. You have a 1 in 3 chance of helping your army a lot, and then a 1 in 6 chance of messing up an enemy unit pretty well. But also a 50% chance that you do nothing, and that's extremely bad. It's like you're gambling almost with his potential. And for 17 points, I don't want something to gamble with. I want something that can get the job done. Unfortunately, Grogu can't really do it in that department. And then the bad. Hunted. When Grogu is defeated, replace his mini with an unclaimed The Asset objective token. Grogu may never be restored. Each trooper unit gains Claim the Asset. At the end of the game, if an enemy unit has claimed the Asset objective token, the unit's controlling player gains 1 victory token. So this is a victory token only your opponent can score. You cannot. And this could lose you games, to put it simply. It isn't something that I find worth gambling, and I don't think Grogu is a good fit for Din, who wants to be up close and in your face. While yes, Grogu does offer his own command card, which I will show you right now. So you can see he gains the ability for you to use a 2-pip called the Hand Thing, and you must have Grogu in your army for you to have access to this command card. Grogu. So this card cannot be selected during the command phase when a friendly unit at range 1 and in line of sight of Grogu, not whoever he's equipped to, is declared as a defender against a ranged attack. You may discard this card from your hand. If you do, the defending unit gains 2 dodge tokens and gains deflect during this attack. This could potentially save a unit pretty well. It's another really good positive about Grogu. He has this ability to use the Force, boom, to deflect an attack. This is especially good in any units in your army that have red saves but don't have maybe like dodges on them or available. I see this being a great thing you can use with Operative Luke to give him 2 dodge tokens, and he can just block them. He already has deflect built in, but he can still use them. Or any red save unit, because it's just a unit. It can be a vehicle, which is insane. There aren't any. Oh yeah, last time I recall, there aren't any red save. There's not a whole lot of red saves in the Rebellion, to put it simply. But this is still an insane card because you get deflect on a unit that might not necessarily have access to it, and that's pretty cool. And they also gain dodge tokens, which is really nice. This could potentially be used on Din himself, which is nice. But once again, it comes at the cost of you needing to have Grogu. For 17 points, you get a command card, a minor good in latent power, but also a very extreme negative in the hunted. And for this reason, I hate to say it because I love Grogu, but he's bad. Like, he's not good. He's not a good fit for Din, I don't think, because Grogu doesn't fit Din if Din wants to be up close in your face. And if Din's up close in your face and you could have bad dice rolls. He could die. And then Grogu's left there. A free objective token for your enemy. I personally don't see how Grogu can be a good addition to Din. Do I think potentially once we see more cards on IG-11, I think Grogu will actually be amazing on IG-11. Way better than he will be on Din as it stands right now, and we haven't even seen the command cards for IG-11 yet. But for right now, Grogu is definitely going to be a hard pass for me. He's going to be bad overall for Din, as unfortunate it is to say. So before we get into potential builds you can have for Din Djarin, I think it's worth mentioning his command cards. Usually command cards they factor into how you use the character, but not necessarily the kit you might bring with them. But I would say Din Djarin's definitely does. And it affects the kits you will run a lot, because a lot of these are centered around attacks and that they're up close and in your face. We're going to go 3-pip, 2-pip, 1-pip. So it's 3-pip. Whistling Birds. I love this card for the potential it can do. And it's just cool artwork. So, 8, you just get an order for Din. During his activation, Din Djarin gains for an action, choose up to 3 enemy units at range 1 and in line of sight. For each chosen unit, roll 1 white attack die for each mini in the unit. This unit suffers 1 wound for each hit, crit, and surge result. So, you have technically the potential to wipe 3 units off the board. Unlikely? Yeah. Pretty cool if you could, though. Absolutely. This leads to some really potentially really good plays where Din goes in, weakens 3 units, and then over the course of that turn, maybe next turn or the turn after that, you can get some good work done. It's important to note that this is not an attack action. It's just an action. So he can still potentially shoot his pistol, or stab another unit. So he could start a turn in melee with the Stormtrooper unit, and there's 2 other Stormtrooper units around him at range 1. He could Whistling Birds, hit all 3 units, then he could stab the unit he's in melee with, and then shoot another unit, potentially doing insane amounts of damage. Which is really, really cool, all at the same time. I love this card. I would say it's a good command card, and spoiler alert, all his command cards are pretty good. Next is Din's 2-pip. I like those odds. And once again, art team killed this one. I love this artwork because he's just choking out a Death Trooper while shooting another one. So cool. So once again, it just gives an order to Din, and Din Djarin gains 1 aim token. After Din Djarin performs an attack action, he may perform an additional attack action. He may perform an additional attack against a different unit. And he can use Arsenal 2 for each of these. So you have to be very careful with this card based on which weapons you use so that you can get the full effect of it. Now, what you can do is if you are in... You can, because you perform an attack action, and then you have to perform an additional one, like, directly after it. But also get a name token. What you do is you can use his spear and his knife in combo, but you have to kill a unit you're in melee with. You have to kill them. Next, you could use your flamethrower and your pistol against a different unit, potentially doing massive amounts of damage to 2 different units. You've got the gist by now. Is this a good card? Yeah, it's a good card. More situational, I would say, because you have to really be in the right moment in a game, but do I think this moment is going to come up often? Yeah, it's going to be pretty often. Will it be hard to recognize? Most of the time, I would say yeah. I mean, it's going to take someone who has a lot of game sense to like recognize this scenario and be able to play this card and make Din really feel like the cool guy he is. So, yeah, it's really good though. I would say in the right hands, it can be a great card also. Don't know if the right hands are mine, but we will see when I get to play him a little bit. Next and finally, we have Din's 1-pip. This is the way. Just once again, fantastic artwork. All of the artwork on Din is amazing, I should say. Once again, 1 order goes out to Din. So, Din Djarin gains 1 dodge token and Relentless. So after he performs a move action, he may perform a free attack action. And this means he can move speed 3 into melee, mess you up, or shoot you, or flamethrower you, or whatever. This is once again a really good card because it just lets you do his job of killing things better. Because now you get more actions to do what you want to do. This means you can so you independent aim. If you are able to put on comms relay and you pass this order to someone else, you could get a very early Din Djarin double move, tactical 1, triggers twice with independent aim, your 3 aims, and you could get your, if you get in the melee of someone, the melee knife, pierce, shoot, pierce, long shot, boom. And you could just get, or even not, you get your dodge token for defense, and Relentless, you move twice, tactical 2, or tactical 1 pops twice, you gain 2 aims, now you can make a pierce 1 range 3 shot on someone. Pretty good. And it's really easy to catch someone in the open when you're moving speed 3 twice. Overall, this is a great card. So the first build I have in mind of Din really leverages his pistol and his ranged abilities. What this build does is it really lets Din get the most out of his aim tokens, specifically. So, for his training slots, he has Hunter and Offensive Push, potentially giving you 2 aims. Wounded unit, extra aim from tactical. He also has Emergency Transponder, which could then, once again, potentially give you another aim. Once again, really good. He also has the Mando's Jetpack, which makes it so that he can maneuver really well to get around corners because he's susceptible to heavy cover units that can just be like, alright, well, he shot me with 3, but I'm just going to block 2 of heavy cover. So you can move around heavy cover to get those good shots in. And finally, emergency stems, just so he's a little bit, safer at range to add to his survivability overall. Okay, so the second build we have for Din is the more up close and personal, close range brawler version of Din. And speaking of up close and personal, well, that's one of the training upgrades, so that he can get that free dodge token when he shoots. Also, tenacity, so he gets another red dice in his melees, bringing you to that potential Pierce 2, 3 red, 3 black, Surge to crit melee attack, which is an insane attack for a non-force user to have. He also has comms jammer to prevent other people from getting orders out. And like I said, with Jedi, potentially, you can have an insane attack pool of 3 red, 3 black. Not Pierce, obviously, because they're immune Pierce, but comms jammer forces them to use, if they want to respond in a quick manner to Din, you have to use one of their command cards. And for example, Obi-Wan doesn't necessarily want to play Hello There as one pip where he gains a bunch of tokens from enemies when there's only one enemy near him. So he's just going to have to take the brunt of Din, which is always a great idea. He also has this flame projector. What this can be used for, if, let's say, you relentless move with his one pip into a good spot and you just want to kill a core unit really quick, boom, you kill the core unit and you can move again and do whatever you want. Get into a melee with another unit so you're safe, whatever. Or if, let's say, they try to intercept you with a core unit, let's say a bunch of B1s, you can just be like, huh, cool, flame on, and roast all the B1s. It just helps you to screen any potential people that want to get you away from the asset you're trying to target. Next is the Mando's Jetpack. Simply put, this lets you just move really fast, really well. So that's why it's here. And then finally, the Beskar Spear, the staple of the up-close and personal loadout. In my opinion, this just lets you have an insane melee with potentially 3 black, 3 red, Surge to crit, Pierce 2. It's a really good melee. Why not have it? Also, you can get the other half of the duelist keyword, where he spends a dodge token to get immune Pierce in melee, which is also, once again, really nice. And who wouldn't want that? I think overall, this can be a really good loadout for getting up in your opponent's face. And yeah, I like it a lot. All good things must come to an end, and thus this video. So, let me guys know your thoughts in the comments down below. How'd you like my builds? Do you think they have some worth to them, or do you think they should be changed around a bit to make them even better than what I thought? And also, if there were any upgrade cards that you thought were good that I said were bad, let me know in the comments below. And also vice versa. If I say they're bad, you say they're good, or if I say they're good and you say they're bad, let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments. Also, tell me, are you excited for Din Djarin? Because I surely know I am. Also, if you comment down below and you've made it this far in the video, tell me your favorite scene with Din Djarin in The Mandalorian, and you'll be entered in for a surprise giveaway now that we're back for Din Djarin himself. So when Din Djarin's released, I can send you Din Djarin, and you can add him to your collection of bounty hunters. So without further ado, comment on this video, and make sure you tell me your favorite scene with Mando so you can get entered into that giveaway, and also subscribe. And without further ado, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. See you around. Peace.